Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So, let's get into it. I'm here by myself in my office. It's late night, Sunday. This is going to be going up tomorrow for you. I figured I'd just sit down and have a little solo session with what's going on. You may be able to tell if you're watching this. I'm sick. My whole family has been sick. Bronte's been sick. I've been sick. CJ was sick for a little bit. And it's been rough. I mean, I've been sick since like last Monday. I'm almost on like a full week now of being sick. Waking up drenched in sweat, fever. The fever only lasted like a day, and it was only like 101. But I've just been unable to really do much. Like I've been like in body aches and just tired and no energy, cold, sweating. I just winded when I do anything. It's been rough. So I didn't make it to the list race, and unfortunately for me, it got rained out. So that was cool. I didn't make it to Florida No Time yesterday because I just couldn't muster up the energy to go. And James won anyways, and that car probably went a good half a second faster than I've been. So we'll let him have that one. Him and RC had the we're in the finals together, and I felt that was the final I expected, if you will. But I think they do chip draw, so I don't know how that kind of ended up. That could have been any round. I think it was just luck. Maybe they didn't do chip draw this time, and they finally switched it to a ladder. I know some of you guys hate No Time anyways. I like 8th Mile No Time when the racing is close, but James's car and RC's car goes 450s. He shows times. He has done Sick Week multiple times. It's the orange S2000. You guys have probably seen it a ton of times. It has a big single turbo LS, and it's a hot rod. I was at the track with him the other night, helping him dial it in, and then I told him, I was like, "Hey, Florida No Time race is coming up. You should go." And he's like, "Oh yeah, but I'm gonna get ran over by James." And I was like, "You should give it a try. Runner up." He did get run over by James. I'll be honest, he did. But he gave it a valiant effort. James Tall is a fast feller. You can't take it away from him. But, yeah, so that was cool. I got to watch the racing live, thankfully, because they had NC Pro Modder out there, my boy. I don't know him, but I'm very, very big fan of his work. He just hustles. Older gentleman, and he just works. Sorry if my chair's a little noisy. But I figured I'd sit down here, talk about some things. Obviously, I don't have a guest today because I've been sick, and I can't have somebody. I don't want to succumb somebody to my sickness. I don't know. I could have the COVID. We can address last week's podcast. A lot of you guys were upset that it was not car related, and I understand that. I feel most of the podcasts are car related, and that's kind of how I would like to keep it. I do tend to, fancy having somebody else on every now and then because it's such a cool platform, and I know you guys are very, interested people, and if you have the attention span to listen for that long, I assume you have, I assume your brain is working more than the people that have the 2-minute attention span. So I figured I'd try to slap some different knowledge at you guys, but I get it. Some people don't take kindly to that. I do try to disclose it as much as possible in the thumbnail, so if you see what it is and you're not interested in that, you do just continue to scroll by. Nobody is forcing you to watch, and I get it. There will be occasionally mixed things on there. I did have a few people unsubscribe. I get it. It's not your cup of tea. That's fine. Live it up. I thought it was fun. I had a good time. It was one of those deals. I want to have this conversation with these two people. Let me just film it. I don't know. Should I put it somewhere else? Like, why would I do that? It just makes sense. But like I said, probably 90% plus of car content. Little smidge here and there. I have some couple people that, have fought in wars or things like that I've talked to, or things that I feel like are stories worth documenting that maybe somebody else isn't. So I'm going to sprinkle it in because, it's worth it. Even lenses on. Me and Sam talk like 20% cars, the rest of it just like life. And that's kind of how I enjoy having these conversations. If I just asked every person the basic car questions, it'd get old. But there's some great people out there, and I'd like to, conversate with them. But of course, I get it. I understand you guys come to this channel expecting a certain thing, and you want that thing, but I will always try to disclose it as much as possible. This, when I do these solos, it could be tangent after tangent. Who knows what I'll get into? I have been doing a ton more, so I have the Bogetti Clips channel where I've, in the past, taken podcast clips and put them out onto there. But lately, I've been taking original content and putting it out there that are they don't fit on Cooper Bogetti channel and they don't fit on the podcast channel, so I've just used the Clips channel. I've actually thought of changing the name to Bogetti Extra or Extra Bogetti. I don't know, something like that. It probably doesn't matter. Overthinking it. But I've thought about doing that because, some of the topics on there are a little different. Like I've talked about, they're pretty much car related. I talked about Cadillac getting an F1. I've talked about some car laws coming out. I've talked about the EPA stuff, just things like that are more they're 10-minute, try to integrate all the information you guys might need into there to try to make it high impact. And I don't put visuals or anything. It's something that I hope you can just listen to. If you want the visuals, I'm sorry, I don't have the manpower for that. I basically write an article and then read it. That's pretty much what I do. I do all the best research I can, try to be thorough, and I write the article and I can read it. And that content works really well for me because if you guys didn't know, me and Bron both from home, which means you basically hardly get any work done and you are home all day. It's not the best process at all times, but sometimes it works. So that fits really well into my and her schedule where I can film those at any time of the day, night. I mean, even right now, it's 9 o'clock at night. This stuff fits into our schedule. Same with working on the car. I was in the shop the other night trying to make it a Florida no time until 1 a.m. and then realized that seemed like a horrible idea and fixed the car, got it together, and it didn't work out. It was just, I couldn't do it. And like I said, I would have gotten ran over anyways. But this weekend coming up on the 28th and 29th, we have the reunion, which is basically FL2K rule set. And they transfer it over to another event at Bradenton because, FL2K is in October. They wanted something a little bit in between and, kind of start the season off for a lot of people. Kind of ends our season, honestly. But start the season off for a lot of people. A lot of people want to, get out of wherever they're at. Their cars are just finished after the winter. TX2K just finished, so it gets a lot of that crowd. And, it's gonna be a good time. So we have the reunion, and actually before that, I'm gonna go hang out at Cletus's all-wheel drive race because I'm pretty excited about that. I got a bunch of friends coming out for that. 1320's coming down. The Kyle Loftus said he's gonna come do a podcast, which will be fun. Big fan of Kyle. We've known each other for, 10 years now, probably. I said that with Boosted Boy Kyle, and I was wrong, but I think I've known Kyle Loftus longer than, I definitely have. Yep. Because I worked for Kyle Loftus for quite a while. Before I even knew him, he was sending me cash in, no, Garrett was paying me through. And Kyle was paying Garrett, and Garrett was delegating power to me intelligently because he's a businessman. He saw that he was making X amount of money and he could trickle some down to me, and it was kind of a favor because it taught me social media and it took some workload off of him. So it kind of worked out pretty well for both of us, as many things do. But I am forever grateful for that opportunity to get to run the Instagram for 1320 for quite a few years. We started it at under 100K. It hit 100K when we were managing it, and then it was at over 1 million when we handed it off. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment. That was that was a lot of learning because 90+% of everything posted on 1320 for a long time on the Instagram was me. Was me every single day, just getting up and just grinding through, finding content. I wasn't traveling. I would just get things sent to me or video clips, and Instagram still was weird for a while. Had a lull where nobody cared about it, and then it ramped up, and now I think it ramped back down where nobody cares about it again. Instagram kind of sucks, if you didn't know. TikTok is far better. Facebook is far better. Instagram is where brands pretend to be cool, I think, and there's a lot of money that flows through influencers on Instagram, but it's just not that exciting of a platform. Like the things that they show you are just like, wait, I don't want to see any of this. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's my experience with Instagram. Am I far enough in? Should I zoom in a little bit? Whoa, you guys don't want to see me like that, right? Look at this. I got my big camera up here. The Sony A6400, I think it is. Yeah, something like that. I am a big Sony guy. And the DJI mics. But let's get into some of the interesting stuff. So I was just talking to a friend today, and he made a post about Boeing's new F-47. And Boeing is planning to build a fighter jet for the government, and they've built some before in collaboration with Lockheed Martin and stuff like that. And Trump's showing off this F-47, the next generation, the 6th generation. It feels like we're in Top Gun. This is the newest, latest, and greatest. Don't take it up to Mach 10. Don't do it. You know how in the movie they're like, you better not you save this program if you hit Mach 10. And of course he's going to try it. And then the thing blows apart at the highest speed ever recorded by a human. And somehow he just casually walks into a diner and asks them to call the base. Like, it's like the Fast and the Furious stuff where it's like Dom can't die because he's got plot armor. And that was the same deal. It's like, why did we start with like the cheesiest thing of all time? Like, he wasn't in like a capsule. He was just in like a chair. I don't know. Whatever. Top Gun bullshit. All of it was kind of lame, that second movie. It was like cool, but then when you step back, you're like, everything seemed kind of like weirdly overly done and dramatic and fake. And then the first one, you feel like it's real. Like even the volleyball scene where they're all shirtless and hugging and doing lame stuff like that. And of course they added one in the second one. I don't get any of that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys seen Top Gun. Sorry to spoil the second one. They do a topless scene, shirtless, greased up guys again, but this time they do it with they're playing like rugby or something weird. Maybe football, I don't know. Something like that, I can't remember. But yeah, Tom Cruise again. I think it was in his contract he wanted to take shirt off. But whatever. Boeing F-47. Do we trust Boeing to bring in our next generation of fighter? And I actually think the U.S. government doesn't. And I think Trump, the way that he is, he wants to save Boeing and keep them afloat. And with all the bad press they've been getting lately, you know, when they put those 2 astronauts in space and then we're just like, you live there now? We'll like find a ride, like hitchhike. I read that book once, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just like put your thumb out on something, maybe somebody will come pick you up. Yeah, that. And then all the airplanes that they've had problems with, all the 737 Maxes that have crashed and had doors blow off and things like that. Do we trust Boeing to produce the 6th gen, I think that's what they call it, 6th gen fighter? It just seems silly. It like I said, it seems like Trump is doing this to try to boost their stock. And tech companies do this all the time. You'll hear Apple announce like $500 billion invested into U.S. manufacturing. It's coming back. And like they'll not do that. Or they're like, we're going to do 10,000 new jobs this year. And then they like don't do it. Or you never hear again about it because you just assume it was done. Who knows? I don't know. I don't keep up with it. I don't follow through. I just hear the news story and I'm like, cool, good for you guys. You hear like GM is like, we're stepping back from electric vehicles and we're gonna make the Camaro again. And then it's like, well, that's a lie. I don't think any of that's true. I think the Camaro's gone forever, but not forever, but just for a while. But like with this, I think they're just announcing this to try to save their stock. Like, obviously all stocks are down right now, but like, what's the Boeing stock look like? I bet you it crept up from this announcement. It did. You know, it's like, if you look at the 5-year, it's still going, but from their max, they were, you know, in 2019, they were at $360. I think they even saw what? They saw $417, and then now they're at like 178. But they're trending up a little bit because of this news, and that's why I think it's fake. I think Trump wants to float them along a little bit so that they can be bought or restructured or saved somehow. Because if he doesn't do something like that, they'll just implode and we'll be stuck with Airbuses or something only. Maybe. Does that sound about right? First off, why are we even focusing on manned aircraft? That seems so silly in, 2025 to focus on manned aerial vehicles. We don't need that. We don't, like, even if it can fly without the person in there, to design it to hold a person to be flown from within is silly. It's not a people mover. It's not designed to fly somebody in and drop them off and then fly away. It's not a Black Hawk, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something like that. So why are we doing this? Like, the drones are disposable. They are disposable. Why are we putting people in harm's way? First off, I absolutely dislike war. Young Cooper was all fired up when we heard we were going to Afghanistan. I was like, Iraqi freedom? That sounds right up my alley. Current Cooper realizes all the wars were horrible decisions for the past long time. I won't get into this again because I did this last time. Started going down the wars and everything, but this seems excessive. Let's talk about the money too. $20 billion to start development, and then they're talking by the time they're like ready to rip, it's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars. Like, that's going to be the final price tag. What are we talking about here? Stop. You can, like, the Predator drone is fine. Just keep using those. It could probably do anything we need. It doesn't, we don't need a dogfighter. Like, are we really anticipating our next war is going to be a dogfight with China? I think that's what this is anticipating, because they're the only other real threat that we have that has, like, multiple fighter jets. It just doesn't make sense. I think, like I said, I think it's all just a grift to save Boeing a little bit, float them, if you will, to hopefully keep them going long enough to be bought out by Musk or something. I don't know. Let me remind you, Boeing could not build the two new Air Force Ones that Trump ordered because they didn't have enough people that had government clearance to work on them. Now, I don't know if it takes less government clearance to design and work on a fighter jet, but they couldn't do the Air Force One. So, I don't know. Again, I think it's all just to float it, and I don't think we'll ever see these things. I really don't. I think it's a pipe dream, and I think it's silly. F-47. Like, come on. It even looks kind of silly. Like, they're showing photos of it, and it kind of looks goofy. It doesn't look like it'd be very maneuverable. I think that's the argument with the F-35. Like, it wasn't maneuverable, and people preferred the, like, F-18 or the F-22 or something like that. I'm not super deep into, combat aerial vehicles, but from my understanding, yeah, I don't know. It kind of looks like that one that they had that would just go in the water. I think that was a Lockheed deal. Have you ever seen that? It looks like that, where it would go underwater. I mean, it looks like they have them already built. Oh, there's some autonomous ones. Okay, we see what you're doing now. But maybe the manned ones are still unnecessary. It looks like there's two options where... Oh, no, that's an X-32A. See, I don't know what I'm talking about here. This one looks pretty manned. It looks like they designed it in the 60s, and they finally just found the plans for it, like the Skunk Works. They were just like, oh, look at this. Hey, we found it. Remember when they unveiled all the JFK files? They accidentally leaked these plans from the 60s, too. Wow. That's what it kind of feels like. I don't know. It seems a little silly. It looks kind of silly, too. But, I don't know. I bet you China could build it for a tenth of the cost. What else is on the docket here? So my boy Mike looked like he crashed his drift car. I don't know if you guys follow Mike on social media, Mike Vargas. He's got a white RX-7 drift car. He crashed it into a wall pretty hard. It looks like he said he totaled it. He actually specifically said he totaled the driver's side, which I don't know what that fully means. I don't know if that means the whole car is totaled, if just the driver's side is totaled, but he totaled something. I don't know if he'll cut it down the middle. I don't know. But he said he had a roller, so maybe I'll have to call him tomorrow, see how he's doing. He seemed fine because he was posting a bunch about it. I hadn't even really, just kind of DM'd him on Instagram with a sad face, when you drift. The drift gets you sometimes. Can't drift for that long without wadding your shit up, right? So the all-wheel drive race is coming up too. Who'd you guys like to see me talk to? I know Manuel is one that's well requested. I know Joey Heichel is down here. I've talked to him before. There's a episode of Joey on the podcast already, and Miles Kerr, he's been on as well. I don't know if Hefner's doing it again, but he's also been on the show before. Be curious, who would you guys like to see me talk to? I wonder what other Honda guys will be out. I don't know the full list. I think, Charles with Patches, I think, will be here. That'll be really cool. Casey Max will be here. Street Race Channel will be here. Again, I don't know who's on the all-wheel drive side. Maybe Houston Street Monsters, those guys. I don't on the gas. I don't really know them though. So if you guys want to put an in with anybody, don't be afraid to comment on this or theirs or whatever. But again, it'd be cool to have somebody on because, they'll be in town and they're probably about 10 minutes from my house when they're here. But it'll be pretty interesting to see that deal. My predictions here. I'll give you my unfiltered. That's what I call it on the other channel. Cooper's Unfiltered Universe. I wanted it to sound kind of like Elmo. I was watching Elmo with CJ the other day, and it was Elmo's Wonderful World. And it's what is Elmo wondering about today? I like that. But it was already my boy Emilio's world. I didn't want to rip that off too much. But aside from that, I think what's going to happen is the first pair up, if the all-wheel drive cars beat the rear-wheel drive cars, so if after one pass, I think the rear-wheel drive cars will have a lot more figured out. That's my thought. So the first pass is going to be where the all-wheel drive guys really have to make it count. Because after that one pass, the amount of data, the track will start coming around, things like that. So, they're going to really have to make it count and try to clean house on that first pass, because after that first pass, somebody like Joey's going to have a lot more data, or somebody like Tommy or somebody like Casey Max for sure is going to have a lot more data after that first pass to, throw a bunch more at it. And that's where I think the second round is going to be really tough for the all-wheel drive cars. See what I mean? So if the rear-wheel drive cars can get past first round, I think they're going to dominate second round. Maybe not dominate. I think they're going to put up a lot more of a fight second round and then get progressively better in third round. The all-wheel drive cars will go out there and sling it all out right off the kick and not have to really worry too much about it. So I think that'll be a really interesting format, if you will. It is odd that there's no burnouts or... Right? They said no burnouts or no water burnouts. So you can't use water. You can't pour your own puddle. You are raw. You just raw. I wonder if they'll give the rear wheel drive guys 2 attempts at a burnout, or you just get that one attempt and you're done, dude. Just sorry. Too bad. Because that's going to be tough for some people. They're going to be on the trans brake to do the burnout. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Obviously, no spectators. I don't even know the day of the week it is. It's probably in 3 days, actually. But, yeah, so that'll be interesting. Top end of Bradenton. And I think there's going to be some I think the fastest passes will probably be like a 5.0, 5.1. So it doesn't sound that crazy, but it is pretty impressive. It's super impressive on a no prep. I know it doesn't sound that crazy when you're talking about like 450s on a prepped no time, but it's so different. It's crazy too that Joey came down here with his car, put it on a radial, raced in Troy's race. Now he's going to put it back on a slick, assuming he does a bar angle change, weight moved around, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's pretty interesting that he's, that he wanted to do all that work. I mean, it was good money to win at Troy's race. It looked like he had some problems, so that was probably good that he figured that out, and like a crank trigger issue and some boost piping blowing off. So it's like, probably good, but he was probably throwing more power at it than he ever had on a no prep, or even like I-29 where it's like ish prep, not back of the track, which he says he doesn't run very often, but like front side, no prep, I guess. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Let's see. Oh, PBIR. I did a video on the Clips channel about PBIR. I actually got to talk to the most recent bidder to keep it a racetrack. So it was really interesting. Popped up on my radar, the RPM group, and they had, in 2 months, they gotten together $30 million and offered to buy Palm Beach International Raceway, and they even had some people committed to help them fix it and renovate it. I made a video. Immediately, they picked it up, saw it, and I got on the phone with the vice president of the RPM group, and we talked for like an hour, and it's really promising. They got some really promising stuff going on, because that was my first question. I was like, all right, you guys didn't get the bid for PBIR. I get it. PBIR is cool, though. It's got a road course. It's got a go-kart track. It's located in Palm Beach, one of the richest counties in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, kind of on an island because everything around it's swampland, and it's really difficult to build on swampland. So it was cool. It's a cool location, but didn't happen. The person bid double that, got it, obviously. And I guess the company that was selling it wouldn't take less than 50 million anyways, so it was kind of like a lost cause. But talked to them for a while. That was pretty cool. They'll probably be on the show eventually with some news to give, hopefully. And, like you guys are probably thinking, $30 million could build you probably a pretty cool facility. You could buy a good amount of concrete and cement with that some asphalt with that money. You could build a cool little tower. You could probably go drag racing for $30 million. You could probably build a drag strip for $30 million. Some of the other people that were bidding on PBIR were looking on the private side of things. So this is you could say epidemic, which is I guess it's a bad thing, right? I don't know. You could say that, but in the world of racing, mostly road racing, the private tracks are becoming more and more of a thing. And that is slightly worrying, because something like PBIR could get scooped up, and where the drag strip was, they could build some high-end apartments or high-end garages with an apartment up top, but it's really just like a hangout. It's becoming more and more of a thing. There are many of them where they're basically country clubs, but for cars. And now that sounds really cool.